Alright, like, click, subscribe, do all that. You already know what time it is. It's Netflix time. This movie's called Live by Night. Some gangster shit. It's about 2 hours long. Spoiler alert, let's just get it. So we got about this guy by the name of Joe who used to be a soldier back in France. But after he gets back to his home in Boston, he ends up becoming a criminal. And he's fucked up pretty bad right here at the bit, but let's just skip back to the beginning. Joe and his boys end up robbing a poker game, and the people there happen to be associates with a crime boss by the name of Albert White. The girl that's helping there with the robbery, it happens to be, her name is Emma. She's trying to make sure things go smooth, but the thing is, that's also Albert White's girlfriend. So they think they're all good and gravy and whatnot, until Albert White actually shows up at his spot. Now, he would have done deal Joe right then and there, but he ain't got time for that. He's got moving to bigger things. He's at war with this other mob boss named Maso, and they trying to take over the rum business, liquor and all that. So Albert actually wants Joe to do a couple jobs for him, pay off his little debt. Like I said, Albert White and Maso Peccatori had beef. People was getting laced casually in the streets, knocking off niggas in barbershops. They was tossing niggas off buildings, damaging the goods to random chicks that people don't know, about to give somebody the fucking business, done dealing niggas, to blowing up shops and shit. Now, Joe didn't want anything to do with all this shit because, like he said before, he's not a gangster, but pretty much he didn't have a choice. Especially if you're giving the business to Albert White's girl, using her as an inside man. And they would get together when he be out of town. I mean, yeah, he might be gone, but he still got niggas. Like, come on, y'all gotta be smarter than that. But as Joe said, we were in love and we were stupid. So one day they're having dinner, and they're interrupted by the police chief, Tom, who just happens to be Joe's dad. His dad's a police chief, and he's a criminal. Perfect irony, right? They don't really have a very good conversation, especially considering with Tom and the way he was talking to Emma. He basically thinks she's a slut, easy skeezy. And considering she's a crime boss's girlfriend, and she's also smashing another criminal, most people back then would have thought so too. After his dad leaves, he goes down and he breaks down and tells her he loves her. And she's thinking to herself, how the hell is this ever going to work? Next day he gets a call to meet up with somebody. It just happens to be Moscow Pescatori. He's basically trying to switch Joe over to his side, considering he's being neutral and he hasn't really picked sides. But Joe just politely tells him, he's like, look, I'm not a gangster. He's not trying to get in the middle of their war, but he does appreciate the offer. And then he politely leaves. Now, Joe's got this one big robbery coming up. He's about to score big. And because too much tension is building up in the city, he's trying to get the hell out of here and go to Florida. And he wants to take Emma with her. And after some crazy ass consideration, she's with it. And now the bank job. But the chase goes completely haywire. And the police out here try to shoot niggas and they try to shoot back. There was a wreckage, calamity, and mayhem. His boys had slipped into another car during that time, so he was by himself in that car. All we know officially is that 3 police officers died during this chase. How the hell was that police officer on shore and the car landed in the water on fire? Trust me, it was a crazy ass sequence. So after he stole a car too, he goes into the spot, takes a press pass off somebody so he won't get identified, finds Emma. Apparently Albert White's been looking at something. They meet up to get in the elevator. When the elevator hits the bottom floor, it was a fucking ambush. Albert White knew about the whole thing. Emma had to tell him because they figured it out. Now Albert supposedly had promised Emma if he told her that he wouldn't kill her. But you think he really gonna hold up to that? And you know he gonna kill Joe. He probably gonna kill your ass too. So he's taking him out back, about to go for that ride. You already know what time it is. Once they got the back door, the cops already out there, so they got dipped. Dad saved his life, but they gotta arrest him because the police think he killed those cops. And this is how we got to the point where his face is all messed up. His dad goes in there like, look man, they trying to blame me for the cops that got killed. But Joe lets him know he didn't kill no cops. Tom talks to the commissioner and he's like, look man, if Joe pleads guilty, he'll only get like 3 years. If he doesn't, they're gonna give him life. So even though Tom is about to get demoted, he shows him a picture of some evidence from some other crime and tells him, look man, you gotta hold your end of the bargain if I tell him to plead guilty. So basically Joe does 3 years and 4 months. Unfortunately, 2 weeks right before his release, his father dies. So with no choice and no alternative, he heads straight to Maso, who lets him know that Albert White has been ran out of Boston. He's now trolling in Florida. He basically wants to go to Florida, make some money, and get some revenge on Albert. So now basically he works for Maso, but he also wants to bring a friend, his right-hand man, Dion. But as it turns out, Dion's already working down in Florida. So now he's getting off the train, he's in Florida, stares at this girl who we learn later on her name is Graciela. And then Dion surprises him right out the blue. Then he teaches him a little something about culture in Florida. Talks about how the Cubans and Mexicans gotta get along, to keep the Spanish underneath them. He tells him nobody really fucks with the Dominicans like that. The white guys are cool, but they treat them like wops. There's a bunch of different vernacular. Then they go to their little quote-unquote factory, shipping yard and whatnot. They were supposed to get rid of this dude by the name of Ralph who was fucking up their plans, but Dion already got them niggas straight. Now they gotta deal with somebody by the name of Gary L. Smith. I guess he's supposed to be some type of governor of the town. So apparently Gary L. Smith takes money from Albert White. So that's a problem. They gotta rectify that shit. And here we have Gary L. Smith. So they try to set everything straight with the terms. Basically, they give him train tickets and tell him get the fuck out of here. We taking over this shit, and that's the bottom line. Like, if you don't believe us, ask your boy Frank. Oh yeah, that's right, Frank can't say shit, he done deal dead as shit. It's funny how he convinced Gary about marking bottles, and they're just like, yeah, well, we never did that shit. The intimidation factors were fucking hilarious. So then they go to this spot and it's down to business. They talk to this Cuban guy right here who makes the best rum, and they want to set up shop. Then we find out the blue, he's got a sister. His sister just happens to be Graciela. Joe saw earlier, intertwining fate and all that. So basically, Joe's trying to convince him to stop fucking with Albert White, even though he runs certain parts of the territories. But Joe's idea is to make them 7 times more money than they're already making right now. And on top of that, he plans to build a casino. They're not really sure about the offer, but they're definitely considering it. Wait a minute, is that Miguel? It sure enough is. He goes by Esteban Suarez. Looks like an Esteban too, doesn't he? Well, anyway, now they gotta go talk to a police chief, because you can't just come in somebody's town and not have the proper etiquette. Chief is like, let me get this straight. Look, I do corrupt things, but I can't be corrupted. You understand what I'm saying? Then he points out all the territories he can touch and all the territories he can't touch. Then the chief's daughter Loretta pops up, and she's on her way to Hollywood to become a movie star. She said she was in the process of working with a good director or something like that. Then we get a little love connection between Joe and Graciela. They ride out on a boat exploring the town on some gangster shit. Alligators in Florida, of course, it's gator country. The colors of the water in the sky, that shit is awesome. I ain't even front. Alright, it's time to party. Then they step away from the party, get more one-on-one talk about futures. Then after a while, she gets that dancing. Joe's admiring her every move. She's doing some bullshit, talking about something, yeah, we ain't never gonna be lovers. Joe's like, fuck out of here with all that. You already know what happens. Come on, you already know what happens. He ended up giving her the business. People's agreed to demands. The business is going up. Masso's getting his cheese, and everybody happy. And Albert didn't like that shit. He tried to get niggas hit up, but Joe and his crew was too smart for that shit. Albert throwing a goddamn temper tantrum. So one day they jam and everything's all good, but then all of a sudden Joe looks outside, he's like, what the fuck is that? And it's the Ku Klux Klan, they're issuing a warning. Fire crosses and all that shit. So apparently some people from the Ku Klux Klan have been hitting up Joe's spots. So they find out the leader of the Ku Klux Klan is actually the chief's brother-in-law. This dude by the name of RD. So the chief sets up a meeting, and there's RD, and he on some bullshit talking about he wants 60% of the profits. Hey man, I'll give you 15, you ain't even gotta do part of the work. So the thing is, he's got a lot of pull in the town. He's been there for a minute, and he's thinking to himself, meanwhile, Joe just got here. He's dating a black lady, so already out the back, he hates this nigga. But he concedes to 15% of the profits. Or so we think. He's looking like, man, my brother-in-law's a fucking idiot. Just off of the stuff he's doing. So now he's about to start this casino business, but Masso's gonna bring his son Digger down. Why they call him Digger? Because he digs graves, nigga. So Digger comes down and he listens to Joe's plan about all this casino business, building up and whatnot. And the plan sounds pretty good. Why does Digger look like a low-budget Joe Pesci? Like, so Digger's thinking to himself, how we gonna pull this off? And the thing is, Joe is trying to change up certain laws that they got down there, you know, the Prohibition and all this stuff. And that's how he's gonna get the licenses for the casinos. That way they can all be legit. Meanwhile, while all that's going on, this fucker RD comes back in one of his spots, puts a note on the desk and it's for Joe. But the note is saying, fuck all that, he wants 60%. Then he lights a bomb and blows up the fucking establishment. Like, oh shit. Then he goes to another spot and does it again. Basically saying, fuck Joe. So they like, basically, we gotta deal with this bitch ass nigga. But first, we gotta get to somebody that's closer to him. So he's asking this one guy if they can settle on some things. This guy's part of the Ku Klux Klan too, but he's not budging on all that shit. But he doesn't really have any pull or any power. Then he makes threats to Joe with people that are more powerful than him. So Joe's like, what the fuck am I talking to you for? Bam! Hits him right in his eye, done deal, dead as shit. Then we get to the chief. And Joe just happens to be at his door waiting on him. He's like, look, chief, your brother-in-law gotta get done deal out here in these streets, man. Chief is like, look, I got the situation, but I'm not selling out my brother-in-law. So apparently Joe said he didn't want to have to do this, but he pulled out some pictures about what he found in Hollywood, which has a lot to do with Loretta, his daughter. Bottom line, the acting thing was all a scam. His daughter got pulled into doing coke, heroin, and doing stripper activities and stuff. He says his daughter's safe and at a facility at a perfect location, but he'll only tell the chief the location only if he gives him his brother-in-law. It's either RD or his daughter. He hesitated for a little bit, but then he goes in the house and makes the call. And now the meeting. Basically, at this point, he says, fuck 60, I'm taking the whole thing. So after all the disrespect, and he also found out he's been taking money from Albert White too. It was an ambush, RD got deaded, and his boys came out the blue and bust them niggas too. But Joe actually got shot in the process, so he's chilling in the hospital, making sure he's all good and gravy. The Klan was trying to get niggas, but Joe and his niggas was already on guard, like fuck out of here, you ain't touching, and they had to dip out. But Dion was following them niggas. They was getting them all deaded and car bombed. They knocked off so many powerful dudes from the KKK, they just chilled out altogether. They ain't want to beef my nigga Joe, and that's that. Of course, the chief was able to get his daughter Loretta back and whipped that ass for all the abuse, all the heroin taken and all that shit. But honestly, she didn't even feel it for real. And quite honestly, I thought she was still hot. Everything's all fine. Joe and Graciela end up getting married. And she wants to start an orphanage for women and children. She's already bought herself a couple buildings. That's their plan. It's all mapped out. It's beautiful. After a couple months goes by, she's finally seen by people. She goes into the church and she preaches her sermons. She talks about the sins of the world, how you shouldn't dally in them, you know, drugs, alcohol, things of that nature. And she's got a couple followers, which is all fine and dandy. The problem is she was talking about disavow all types of casinos too, because gambling is considered a sin. That's a huge problem for him with Masso trying to open up the casino, getting it popping. And he had already told Digger about the plan and everything, but if nobody's on board, they're gonna have problems with this. Masso's like, look, just do what you gotta do to get it done, man. This causes a slight bit of tension between the two, but it's more so because Graciela is scared of what might happen to him. Then we go to another church sermon, and she does her sermons about things being sinful or whatever like that. She goes even deeper into the casino aspect, and this time she's got a lot more followers. That's not gonna vote too well with Joe and Masso. So he gets her one-on-one and tries to convince her as best as he can, but she's not pulling back from this shit. Damn, Joe was in a rock and a hard place with this one. But he doesn't want to have her touched because she's a good, clean soul. She ain't did nothing wrong to nobody. So Joe and Dion go to the commissioner. The commissioner refuses to go through with the casino now. Because he feels like too many people are going to deny it now that a lot of them are just followers of Loretta. The plan is definitely fucked now. So throughout everything that's set up, they had different laws and the prohibition is over. So they officially can't do a casino legally. At this point, he's been ignoring Masso's calls. That's not a good sign, Joe. Even though Joe still delivers a bunch of money to Masso anyway. Then Joe has this very profound talk with Loretta. There's a whole lot she said in this conversation, especially about her father. He says all he does is sit in the house all day talking about repent. Because he can't believe all the stuff that happened to her when she tried to go to Hollywood. Trust me, the conversation was deep. Then a week later when he gets back to work, he tells them the trucks made it up there, everything's fine, they got the money, they got the cheese, all that. Masso is good. And then we found out when Loretta went back to the house, she slit her own throat and killed herself. So Joe's like, what the fuck, man? The only thing Dion's thinking to herself is like, damn, if she had did this earlier, we could have opened a casino and had this shit popping. Like, damn, Dion, you gotta be like that? I know he's looking at Dion like, what the fuck? But it's like, alright, we already know who they are. You know what I'm saying? Mobs and all that. Later on, he goes up to see Esteban. He lets him know business is doing fine and all that. But then Joe goes to look at some pictures on the wall and he's like, what the fuck is that? Esteban said he took this picture like a month ago. But who is that in the picture? That's Emma? Are you fucking serious? Because the crazy thing is his dad told her that she died the same day he was in the hospital about 7 years ago. Or 6 years ago, up to this point. So now he's thinking to himself, holy shit, this girl's still alive. So he goes out to the beach with Graciela, and apparently he actually told her everything about the situation. He told her that Emma's possibly still alive. See, their relationship, Joe tells her everything. So it's gotten to the point eventually they have to meet up with Masso. And they heard that he's coming down with the crew, with Digger and everybody. So basically, they gotta meet up with him. They're gonna need a plan, because I don't think he's gonna meet them on good terms. He tells Graciela to go to this different address, and he's gonna come back in one piece. And now it's time. They go to this spot, heavily guarded with niggas, and he meets up with Masso face to face. They talk about Loretta, they talk about the casino. Masso lets him know he's the goddamn boss. He gives him a job to do and everything's all good and gravy, right? So they about to get up and leave. But then Masso tells him one more thing. He came up there for the sole purpose of linking up with Albert White. What the fuck? Basically, his fortunes grew a little bit more, and he was able to cut a deal in with Masso because everything falling out with the Joe and the casino stuff. So basically, we're thinking to ourselves, Joe's about to get fucked. Until Joe pulls out the picture showing him that Emma's still alive. So while he's hesitating, they hear Dion bust off a shot. Then he tells Masso, fuck you, I got a fallback plan. See, the thing is, all his guys are lined up at the door. What Masso doesn't know about in Florida are the tunnel ways. That's why Joe's boys are coming through the tunnel to fuck niggas up. And then we get to shooting in the meleeing. Bottom line, Joe hits Albert White through the wall. Dud deal deaded his ass. Shoots some more niggas in the hallway. And these niggas go back and forth checking through the top floor to make sure everything's clear. He goes back in the room and tells them to keep a lookout and know everything. Now while he's doing that, Digger went in the room first. He sees Albert done deal dead as shit and turns around and finds out Joe went back in the room. He never went downstairs. His son Digger dead as shit. Ain't you about to suffer the same fate? Lay your candy ass right next to Albert. After all the shit goes down, Joe's done. He appoints Dion the boss and then he leaves. He came back to his girl, everything all good and gravy. Then he goes out to the coast and then he finds Emma. Yeah, she's still alive. So apparently when they thought her car went over the bridge, she swam to some fisherman's house and lay low the entire time until she was able to get out here to Florida. So he goes back to Graciela. They had a son actually named after his father, Tom. And they opened up the orphanages for women and children. Then we get a scene of the old chief. He's sitting there staring out into the window just saying repent all the time. Repent, repent. So Joe had a new house. He was playing with his son and all of a sudden he hears shots fired. He goes outside to light him up. Turns out it was actually the chief. The fucking chief of police came to his door. That shit is crazy. And as he was letting off random shots, Graciela was the one that got hit. Like, oh shit. And unfortunately, they went back to Cuba, where she was buried at. Now, apparently, every Saturday, he takes his son to the movies. Now, throughout the film, they talked about his brother, Daniel. This is his brother that he hasn't seen in I don't know how long, but he's always been out here in Hollywood making movies. So a lot of movies that they watch were movies made by him. The last scene we see is both of them staring off into the sunset. Man, that was a lot. Live by Night on Netflix. Check it out. Like, because we got to do all that. You know what time it is. Look easy, all the easy best. Stop. Big. You got that slogan.